Let's tell you about Russia's newest ally, Georgia. The former Soviet Republic has just taken a step closer to Russia. Georgia has passed what's being called the Foreign Influence Law. This law brands NGOs and media companies that receive over 20% of their funding from abroad as bodies pursuing the interests of a foreign power. The law was passed on Tuesday. Inside the parliament, a fight broke out between the opposition and the ruling Georgian Dream Party, which has been in power since 2012. An opposition leader punched a leader of the ruling party in the face. Protesters clashed with riot police and shut down a major intersection in the capital. People in Georgia have been protesting for weeks now. Protesters say the law symbolizes Georgia's drift closer to Russia. It also jeopardizes Georgia's bid to join the EU. For weeks now, protesters have been chanting "No to Russian law." They have been holding European flags, playing Beethoven's Ode to Joy, which is also known as the Anthem of Europe. Georgia's bid to the EU and NATO memberships enshrined in the constitution. It applied to be part of the EU in 2022. The country was granted candidate status in 2023. After the vote, EU's Foreign Affairs Chief issued a joint statement with the Neighbourhood Commissioner. It reads, "The EU stands with the Georgian people and their choice in favour of democracy and of Georgia's European future." Opinion polls showing that a majority of Georgians in a nation of 3.7 million want to join the EU. So what explains the law? The government says the law is necessary to stem what it sees as harmful foreign influence. Critics, in fact, point out its similarities to a foreign agent law Russia implemented in 2012. The law forced NGOs engaging in so-called political activity to register as foreign agents. You see, it's not just the protesters, but also Georgia's president who is standing firm in opposition to the law. This is Salome Zorabichvili. She is the president of Georgia. She had vowed to veto the law, but the ruling party has the numbers it needs to override a presidential veto. So what happens next? After the vote, the president said the government's actions were, quote-unquote, a return to the former past. Adding the protests on the streets prove that Georgians, quote-unquote, will never return to Russian pressure. In the capital, the president held a joint press conference along with leaders of Estonia, Lithuania, Latvia, Iceland.
Let me be very clear. The adoption of the Foreign Agents Law, as well as continued repression against Georgia's civil society, will stop Georgia's further progress on EU and NATO path. If this happens, responsibility will lie squarely on Georgia's government.
This law is taking Georgia further than away from the European Union path. This is a U-turn to which the European Union will certainly react.
And in this respect, it's very difficult to understand why this particular law on the transparency of foreign influence had to be adopted now.
The Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov accused the West of undisguised interference in Georgia's internal affairs. Georgia's Prime Minister had previously said that if the bill was not passed, Georgia would lose its sovereignty and, quote, easily share the gate of Ukraine. What did he mean by that? We don't know. A day after the law was passed, students in the capital decided to boycott classes. There were no students at the university. Students accused the government of snatching away their European future.
We students decided to protest this event, so we decided to don't go to lectures. But I think university is usually open. Now is open it, but there's no students. They decided to not go to lectures because when in the country situation, very difficult situation, very political situation, there is no time to study some diplomacy and things about international relations. Because if we stop and if we stay at homes, at rooms of university, there will be no future for us.
The U.S. Assistant Secretary of State, Jim Open, spoke to Georgia's Prime Minister before the vote. The American official said Georgia would lose hundreds of millions in aid if Georgia became an adversary. In other words, a Russian ally. The spotlight, in fact, is also on one billionaire, Bidzina Ivanishvili. He is the founder and bankroller of the ruling Georgian Dream Party. He is also widely referred to as the most powerful person in Georgia. Ivanishvili has made his fortune in Russia, and he is accused of leaning towards Moscow. This billionaire has never condemned Russia's war in Ukraine. But what he has done is previously accused NGOs of being foreign puppets, even plotting a revolution. Did this billionaire have anything to do with the law? Is he the one bringing Georgia closer to Russia? These are questions a lot of people are asking as the protests continue on the streets. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.